Let's have a conversation about building a legal practice that actually works, okay? Not just if and buts, but actually how do you automate, how do you put in place a system that makes sure that your legal practice actually works? So the first thing I want you to really think about is doing the math, okay? So you got to have a clear idea what you really mean by having a legal practice that works, okay? So the numbers are going to support your vision. Numbers are going to support actually the kind of strategy you put in place. So doing the math is also really good because it helps you have a clear expectation, at least set clear expectations. So you need to take a hard look at the numbers and fully assess your finances. How much money do you need to generate to feed yourself and your family, pay the mortgage, and keep the lights on? Because if you are going to building, if you're thinking about building a legal practice that works, you got to think about the foundation, the monetary foundation. And so here I'm speaking about not just you, but also your staff. Okay, so make a list of every real and estimated expense, both personal and business. That way, you have a clear idea what kind of numbers we're talking about. So that's the first thing you need to do. The second thing you need to do is to think about the expenses you can reduce or eliminate. Okay, there are some expenses that you can really reduce, or some you can. Okay, after you tally everything up, take that total run rate, and you want to add 30% more for taxes, and calculate how much business you will need to do as a solo law practitioner. Okay, for example, so let me give you, if your monthly personal bills and anticipated business expenses total $6,000, with taxes, you will need to generate about $8,000 a month, okay? Then figure out what rate you can reasonably bill at. If it's $200 per hour, you will need to generate 40 billable hours a month. That's 10 hours a week, 2 hours a day. Can you do that? And how can you do that? So I'm just giving you the nitty gritty, like how specific you have to get to know exactly if you want to build a legal practice that work. Okay, so the first part is doing the math, and doing the math is quite essential. I don't care the industry you're in. I don't care how competitive your niche is. If you want to build a legal practice that works, doing the math is going to be your very first step. Next, you want to get a great computer. I mean, this is an important element. I mean, what I'm talking about getting a great computer, I'm talking about not just the physical computer itself, but also the software, everything. Like, just get great tech, get great technology. Okay, as a solo lawyer, your computer is your most important hard assets. If it goes down, you're temporarily out of business. Think about it. Think about it. Okay, those are real. Those are real factors to really account for. So please, when it comes to your computer, when it comes to the software, don't skimp. Don't skimp on that factor. Really, a laptop is all you need to get your practice up and running. You don't even need to get a desktop. Laptop is kind of fine. Okay, but you got to really ask yourself. Besides a laptop, do you need other sort of tech products? Yes, yes, definitely. You will also need likely a printer, a scanner, and or a copier. Okay, it really depends on your client needs, or your niche also. But an external hard drive may prove useful as well. Okay, not to mention the number for your local computer support repair company on speed dial. You want to have that really secured. Next, you want to keep your overhead low. If you are trying to build a legal practice that works, keeping your overhead low is quite essential. Okay, and this is because a lot of things will happen that you need to really control. Okay, so keep that low. So you are in charge now, right? And every dollar adds up quicker than you think, especially if you just invested in that great new laptop. One of the biggest potential expenditures is actually office space. So when I say overhead, I'm speaking about office space, but others. Okay, think about what type of location will work best for you and your clients. Do you need office space in a central location, or will your home office work, right? It's all about reputation, it's all about branding, it's all about the niche you're in. So if you end up buying or leasing a space, give particular thought to your office neighbors, since they may become a PRS, potential referral source, because when you run your own business, everyone is a PRS. Think about it. Everyone can be a potential referrals referral source. If you want to build a legal practice that works, you need to be thoughtful with your banking. I want to insist on that. Be thoughtful with your banking. Why? Because your bank can also be a PRS, your banker, okay? But your bank can also be important from a regulatory point of view. So when it comes to managing your money as a solo lawyer, you will need an operating account as well as an IOLTA, interest on lawyers trust account, at the very least. And this is and again, this actually doesn't matter the industry you're in, the niche you're in. You're gonna need that, okay? And you also want to review the rules for maintaining the IOLTA. So they're not difficult to understand, but they are important, especially if you are in a certain niche. I mean, certain niches are more quote unquote sensitive than others when it comes to IOLTA compliance. Okay, so be thoughtful in picking the bank for your business accounts too. So, do you want or need the footprint of a national bank, like national banks such as Chase, Wells Fargo, Citibank, or Bank of America? Or would you rather go with a smaller neighborhood credit union? Okay, so, or do you want maybe a tier two, a regional bank such as Truist, PNC, Key Bank, uh, BMO Harris, or would you go with a tier three, a smaller bank, but not even a local bank, but a smaller bank that's actually a very, I would say, very popular at the state level, such as you can take Fifth Third Bank or you can take Huntington Bank. So you got to think about that. So research the bank's respective offerings for small businesses. And again, I think I've said this before. Don't forget about those PRSs. Small banks may be more likely to refer you their real estate closings, for example, than one of the big banks. So that's important to really think about from at least from a scalability point of view. Next, you need to get your website and other materials in order. Okay, if you are trying to build a law firm that works, you got to have a website. And I'm not speaking about having just a random website. It has to be professional. First impression really counts. If you want to have a law firm that works, first impressions are going to be quite essential. Okay, you need a website. Even as a small solo law practice, you need a website. Okay, and how fancy does it need to be? Well, that probably depends on your practice. The transactional lawyer's website look different from the immigration lawyers. Think about it. But remember that your website often makes your first impression for you, right? So make it a good one. You want your first impression to be really good and to be lasting too. Okay, so that's important. And luckily, things don't have to be complicated this year. You also have ample website design and hosting services with reasonable prices to choose from. You don't have to break the bank literally to actually create a website. You might even enjoy picking your website template, picture, and fonts. Then again, you may also want to call in that favor from your cousin who is a web designer. Who knows? It's all about looking at your referral sources, your network, and see how you can really tap into that. So, what about the physical trappings of your solo practice? Will you order custom stationery or print it yourself? And if you customize it, will it go to? Would you have to go to Staples or Office Mass? Okay, or the mom and pop print shop up the street. It's all about what works for your specific situation. So whatever you answer, if you at least thought about potential PRSs, you are getting the hang of this thing. Okay. Next, you basically want to also name your solo practice carefully. This is so important. If you are trying to really, how do I say that? If you are trying to create or build a law firm that works, naming your naming that solo practice is going to be quite essential. Let me explain. Naming is part of the whole branding thing, okay? And it's all about how you want to position your law firm. So before you actually mimic those big, well-known firms around you, be careful. There are rules around law firm names. If you want to name your firm Smith Law Offices, note the plural offices, but you only have one office. That might get you in trouble. Also, it may go without saying that if you can't be a Smith and Johnson LLP if there is no Johnson, right? So the law is pretty strict on that front. If you want to actually if you want to build a legal practice that works, you want to buy law malpractice insurance. Now, you might be thinking, I don't need law malpractice insurance, blah, 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 blah. But you do. You do. And I don't care the niche you're in. Okay. Insurance in general, it's all about risk management. And law malpractice insurance, particularly, is not just about risk management, it's also about revenue protection. You want to protect your revenue. As a solo practitioner or as a new law firm, you're going to have good years and bad years. Or let me just call it this way. You're going to have up years and low years. So low revenue years and higher revenue years. So how do you actually make sure those higher revenue years, you're going to protect those revenue? Don't let one incident, one malpractice lawsuit actually damage your reputation, damage your revenue base, and damage your overall profitability, okay? So even if it's not required in your state, for example, it's not required in Massachusetts, law malpractice insurance buys you peace of mind, and that's what you want. You want to have peace of mind. Insurance in general allows you to really operate with peace of mind, because nobody wants to be actually sued for malpractice. But if it happens, you want to have peace of mind that you're covered, okay? If you are just starting your solo law firm, you don't have much exposure yet, so the price can be less than $1,500 for a year, and you may be able to spread the payments out over 12 months too, right? So when you spread, let's say $1,500 over 12 months, you are looking at what? Less than $150 a month. So that's totally decent. So if you want to build a legal practice that works, you also need to use your network, okay? So I think I've spoken to you about PRS, okay? I've spoken about your ability to choose your banking, smartly. But it's important to use to create, to cultivate, and to expand your network, okay? So in addition to everyone being a PRS, think about potential referrers in your existing and extended networks. So if you are doing a family law, talk to counselors, for instance. If you are doing a tax law, let your accountant know. It's all about actually having the word out about your solo practice, about your legal practice. If you are doing a personal injury work, reach out to that physical therapist friend, right? It's all about making sure that but see, when you reach out to those people, make sure that you are actually adding value. Make sure you are proposing something that can be of value to them. Make sure that you are solving a pain points that they are actually they are dealing with, they are coping with. As long as you're bringing a solution to the table, and you're bringing like if you are bringing peace of mind, if you are offering peace of mind to those people you're calling, you are going to find that people will be very, very happy to talk to you. But one thing I want to say is that just be very careful about whom you're talking to, because at the end of the day, you still want to be in compliance with state laws and state and federal laws and regulations. Okay, so that's an important element to think about. So now remember that it's never too early to network. If you are planning to launch your solo practice in say 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. Let people know your plans now because, and I really mean it. Let people knows your plan now, not not when you create or when you actually launch the firm. No, let people know now so people can really start thinking about, you know, what kind of a referral that you might need. Then you can remind them to your official like as you get closer to your official launch date, you can remind them one or twice before. Finally, if you want to build a legal practice that works, you need to understand that it's all about planning. It's all about streamlining your operations. It's all about making sure that you have the right software too. Because see, the thing is, I think I said this to you before. You can think about having your computer. You can think about keeping your overhead low. You can think about being thoughtful with your banking. But if you don't have the right software to support you, you are going to be struggling. Okay. Now, having the right software can be really important because software can really do a lot. Legal software can do a lot of things. It can actually streamline the legal work for you. It can send out the bills. It can actually maintain your legal records. Okay. It can also make sure that you are operating at a higher level, like your staff, your staff members are operating at a higher level. What I mean by that is that you're able to actually tap into the data that you have, your client data, and you can tap into that data for research, for analysis, for case analysis, but also for competitive intelligence, for to actually glean intel into the market. Okay, so one thing you need to understand is that if you are a solo practice, technology is going to be even more important because if you're a solo practice, you are by definition the only person working at your firm, at least for now, right? So having the right software can really help you, especially from I would say from a scalability point of view. That way, you don't have to work 20 hours a day just to be able to get work done, right? Because when you're a solo practice, there's a lot of things that you might have to do yourself. I mean, as you grow, of course, you can actually you have the possibility to outsource. But when you start, right off the bat, you might have to do things a lot of things yourself. Okay, so it's important to be very efficient during that period and know, okay, how do you actually put efficiency in that kind of work. So in conclusion to this conversation, I explained to you how to build a legal practice that works. So I give you the steps you need to follow. Do the math. Get great tech. Keep your overhead low. Be thoughtful with your banking. Get your website. Name your solo practice carefully. Buy law malpractice insurance. Use your network and also streamline your operations from the get go. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.